not really as a team. They don't really queue as 6. We often see Necros and Andrew duo queuing in ranked quite a bit as they play a lot of that Spider-Man Venom combo, and it does mean that they are likely going to be target banned here, as Schmungus are going to open up with a ban onto Adam. That is their usual first ban, but it is also pretty good against Only Legs, who loves playing that.
Exactly. So a lot of good focus already coming out. You hit on earlier in the day that Schmungus are not going to get to play Venom. This is going to be a hero that is consistently banned against them. But now we're going to get to see what they want to go for with the save. Can't quite remember what they ended up protecting earlier, but things like that Star-Lord would be pretty good for Jimbo. But no, the Uncle's actually, I'm sorry, protecting the Winter Soldier, which is always interesting, right? When we talk about, again, kind of going up against teams of disparaging skill level, if you do just want to take that kind of handshake aim duel, and it looks like for the Uncles that they're happy with it.
Yeah, very happy to try and just go for that Bucky. Obviously, Bucky can be very powerful. Just being able to hit a hook can really upset the fight planning of an enemy team, but maybe you'd expect that potentially Schmungus would have more mature fight planning, at least compared to a team that might be a little bit newer. I'm not sure how long the Uncles have played together, but they're not a team that I have a huge amount of exposure to over the course of my experience in the EMEA.
Heroes could make all the difference.
Are we going to get those locking in? And of course, we're on Hall of Jalia. Convergence coming through. Excited to see more Loki today, especially if that's not going to be answered on the opposite side, because it really feels like when a team has been able to play Loki and the other team hasn't, that there's been a stark disparity there.
Yeah, like, if you can't play Loki, you kind of got to ban Loki, is the real answer. Yep. Because you never want to be in a position where you're getting consistently Loki gapped. Necros actually going to be picking up the Winter Soldier here, which is, honestly, I haven't caught how much Necros has been grinding Winter Soldier. On his streams, he is most known as a Spider-Man player, but without something like a Venom, the lethality of Spider-Man can be so heavily constrained that you might not... Oh, wait, pause champ, is it real? Could it be real, Necros? I mean, you are on the offense, so I'm not gonna buy into it just yet. The Uncles, on the other hand, I can give a little bit more stock to. We're going to see more of this Psylocke. It has actually been raising in popularity over the course of MRC, but we didn't see a huge amount of it during MRI.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan, right? The ability to deal with flyers from the hit scan, just the range auto in general from someone that is a heavy diver and flanker. It feels like with Psylocke, a lot of possibilities are there. And by man, you are not getting baited. It looks like we will get to see Necros on the Spider.
Okay, indeed we will. An early pull off the map would be huge here, especially if we can grab Magneto. That would be a bunch of damage as well for now. Necro's just going to do a little guerrilla warfare around that backhand side for now. The remainder of Schmungus are just going to do their best to get some distractionary measures in over onto Only Legs. Force out the regeneration domain. That's actually a huge pickup early here for Necros. And now moving over to a more vulnerable Loki after having swapped over on that clone place. Boga having already popped their C, uses that team up. D-Sly taken down by those Iron Lash walls. The damage really adds up if you allow Groot to have these walls up. And that's one of the things you give up when you play the Spider-Man. Your wall-breaking ability is severely diminished.
And I mean, there's a reason why we've heard so many top Vanguard players say, yeah, Groot is just ridiculous. Groot is insane. If one team has a Groot, you have to have a Groot. And you saw why those walls just putting so much pressure on Schmungus. And the Spider-Man instantly gone. Necros moving over to the Winter Soldier, where we initially, thought he'd start.
Yeah, just putting on a little bit of an exhibition for all of those Spider-Man fans out there.
He has fans, right? He has fans. You got to put on a show.
There are literally dozens of us. Necros ready to go, following in the Eternal Bond. Or is it going to be something to shut this down rather quickly? Cage actually manages to avoid the bionic hook as Ichilips is going to be bringing up the invisible boundary. That's a huge strangling prison right there. So many players falling into culling range, but that's going to be a clobbering time. But there's so much in terms of shutting this one down. Dahania finds Necros in the midst of all this. And now Uhelsh, or Ulsh, I don't know how to say that one, is able to grab one. Ulesh, let's go with Ulesh.
Yeah, I like Ulesh. Great hold by the Uncles. Great metallic bulwark coming out from Dahania to make sure that the song was able to stay alive through all that. And once again, you're going to have to try and force their way through this choke point. Schmungus not being able to find the success that they were earlier. We have Jimbo, though, now coming out on the Punisher. Portal to set all this up, so they might just be able to mow down the vanguards of the Uncles.
Okay, and oh my goodness, D-Slice already dead. Unlucky
Tragedy.
right there. Boga taken down by Ulesh. Varsong joining them right here. The unlimited ammo took its time to be deployed, honestly, and I think that it could have had a better early impact.
Right? I feel like you're hoping for that portal to open, infinite ammo be there, your Punisher, Winter Soldier just mauling people down. But you got to be careful of the picks. You mentioned that grab that can come out from the Winter Soldier can also just so quickly and cheekily find a pick that sometimes there really is no good reaction.
Easily swap here onto the Loki could be incredibly important. The wall-breaking potential of both the Punisher and the Winter Soldier not to be underestimated here. Tarto going to be forced to move over down onto that low ground shortly. Oh, never mind. Tarto's plans do get changed forcibly by the Bardic Hook. It's going to bring themselves back up onto the high ground here. Barsong looking for something. Boga blocks it out. That's value of the Doctor Strange. That shield on demand is not to be trifled with. Now with a Kraken, in fact, ready to go. Schmungus are going to be in terrible danger unless somehow Diesel can try and turn it around using their copy here. Already onto their vanguards. The danger is real. Meteor M could do a lot of damage and make them reach that final little culling threshold. Not going to happen in this case as Tarto elevates themselves up straight towards Jimbo. It's brave to go up against the Punisher like this as they just drop down into the low ground, into the invisible boundaries to get that additional amount of healing. Yeah, you can manage to carve through the Loki cleanse, but can you get much more than that? Tarto doesn't get too much off the back of the strangling prison, admittedly. Might be hoping to that one back. Killips has managed to make a disengagement happen, and yes, there is going to be plenty of healing available as Ulesh just hides away for a moment. 123 HP should be easy to get healed on up. Jimbo goes a touch too far, punished for it in the midst of all this. Eye of Agamotto gets both Barsong and Ahania. The follow-up is going to be hard to come by here, actually, as the remainder of the strategists look towards them. Only Legs is going to be able to posture themselves elsewhere, and Schmungus finally capped.
Yeah, and that was a very chaotic fight. It felt like it was really determined by the ult usage at the start for the Uncles. Basong not able to find any impact with his Kraken impact. As Necros now, great hook into the uppercut.
Yeah, Killips couldn't really hang on to that one. Easily getting some real value out of that God of Mischief as well, being able to invisible boundary on cooldown. Not too bad at all.
I'm glad to see that Schmungus did swap over to the Loki, like you said, though. Again, it kind of feels like if you aren't playing him, you yourself need to ban him. Provides so much healing, so much survive from the burst with the regeneration rune, and now doing a bit of a better job. But why Andrew sniping out the song?
Oh, well, that's going to be invisible boundary here to try and save the wayward group. Tarto, no more culling. And that means that there's going to be no resets off the back of this one. Necros may have actually managed to get one over on a Loki clone in the midst of all of this. Ulesh comes in with Dance of the Butterflies, and yeah, Tarto's just having some issues here. Inside the invisible boundary, Necros finally has targets in their sights, but Andrew might be a touch overextended here. Has taken a lot of damage. Both Tarto and Dahania have been stunned by the Eye of Agamotto. The follow-up could be there. Necros good when it comes to the distribution of damage. All three players caught in place. Barsong once again descends from the heavens and finds Jimbo Limbo exactly where he doesn't want to be. Jimbo Limbo next up. KG also on the docket. There's some good shield play here to try and save Schmungus from the depredations of Barsong, but only Legs up here. It's going to be a Loki versus Loki. Dual Spellfield gets it done. It might have actually bounced off the shield of the Doctor Strange there to finally get the blow that was needed. And Ulish grabs Boga as the shield finally is destroyed.
We almost saw Schmungus able to bring it back, had some nice fights, but now these cheeky little angles coming out from the Uncles as Basong gets a nice one on Andrew to close it out. And they're being pushed all the way back towards their spawn. We do see potential portal usage coming out.
It's got to be. They simply don't have the time to try and make the commute over here. Claiming the high ground, forcing only Legs off of this would be a great way to try and play it. KG Could be in danger of getting knocked off here if a Thor's Physics comes through from the side of Ichelid. Out comes the Horn of Proteus onto the back line. Only grabs a single doppelganger from Only Legs. Not much more than that. Invisible boundaries overlaid on top of each other. And the backboard of that Thorn Lash wall is going to be a huge amount of damage that's delivered here by Tato. Only Legs going to be able to copy over, of course, into that Invisible Woman and have access to the Invisible Boundary when it is finally necessary. Actually, we saw why Andrew get forced off by Only Legs. I was wondering if they were going to stay up on the high ground for so long because the Force Physics is so dangerous. You get knocked off the back and a Vanguard is just instantly taken down.
Yeah, I mean, the Uncle's doing such a great job to hold on to that point. Really not respecting what that Invisible Woman could do. And now we're going to see what the Uncles could do with their own push. Again, you expect people like Only Legs to be more comfortable on Loki than Desley on the opposite side, starting out on that pick. So I'm definitely curious to see if they can keep that momentum up. Ulesh, another one who is able to find a lot of really good, really sneaky moments, just capturing people off on the wayside on Schmungus. It looks like Schmungus thinking about changing it up.
A different approach, potentially. Andrew, usually known as a Venom player, target banned first thus far every time that we've seen Schmungus
had a great Star-Lord earlier.
Yeah, did have a fantastic Star-Lord. Usually we expect Jimbo to be the hit scan player for Schmungus, but maybe has a little bit more time on Groot than Andrew in the midst of all of this. Andrew is a noted aimer. Wouldn't mind seeing what they can get done on the Hela.
What monsters have you slain?
Yeah, definitely excited to see what they could do. Not, you know, too much hit scan necessarily needed by their side, but hell, Goddess of Death can definitely change a fight around fast. He's going to be looking for those sneaky picks onto Only Legs and Eclipse. Eclipse. There we go. We found it.
Eclipse? Oh yeah, Eclipse. That's probably it. I've been saying Eclipse, but honestly, I don't know.
It's one of those ones you just got to kind of stare at for a second.
Yeah, it's like I'm gonna need a moment to translate this one. Big piercing knife from Andrew. Wow. Oh, the exploding swords just blast Ulesh's guts all over the place, unfortunately.
You called him an aimer like Day, and he is definitely an aimer. Him and Necro is just doing a great job. You said they are the dynamic duo, and they're playing like it right here.
Much better.
And for now, Boga and Jimbo, they are just on full blockade mode. A trade blockade of Naboo. What could it possibly mean? Means that Schmungus are making sure you don't get control of this high ground for now. And at this range, like, you're so happy as Necros and Andrew to simply, you know, sit back in your little villa, in your condo, and just lay out that damage. And you can actually hear Ulesh approaching from the left-hand side. Just force out the regeneration domain from Desley, and that's going to keep them in a little bit of danger.
And that's you know, I'm glad the Uncles are starting to explore that, because just funneling in, trying to contest this high ground isn't working. Feels like they're going to need to look for more of a multi-pronged approach. Ulesh trying his best, but now getting forced back with the team.
Oh, wow.
Desley sniping out Only Legs.
Yeah, maybe they heard our comments about maybe being a touch less touch less confident on the Loki. Yeah, managing to get that one done. Waiting until that Barna Cook is over before engaging, and just a little bit of aggression kept at bay by the Ironwood wall. Oh, this could be an instant kill onto Desley. Ulesh, what a combo. Unreal stealthiness right there. Ulesh noted on their approach. And there we go. Into the midst of everybody. Going to be quick resets coming through from the side of Necros. Barsong falls down. Next up, of course, is going to be the Invisible Woman. Chaining them together. This was necessary after losing Desley so early. Only Legs up next. Bro's aim is actually kind of wild, you know. Throtterstern getting it done. What a wipe there for Necros. Not just a Spider-Man.
And at first, I thought there wasn't going to be any fruit to bear from that engage. We saw the Invisible Boundary come down super fast on the side of Uncles, but still not really meaning anything in the end. Great strangle, great prison coming out from Jimbo Limbo. Now, though, we're going to see if poor Uncle Tato can walk up and find his own angle, but Ulesh.
Down to the butterflies. Oh, it's solo onto KG. Just really concentrating that DPS perfectly. Jimbo's down as well, already down to 4. Necros, 1 tap by the Kraken Impact. It's easy resets here for Barsong. Boga's next up on the docket, and Andrew's going to be in significant danger the second that they move on through. yeah, Barsong just keeps on resetting, and that is going to be easy peasy resets. Wait, there's going to be a recontest coming through from the side of this portal. Necro's the only one who made it out inside of this. Tato's actually keeping them body blocked by standing in the way of the portal. Big heads up play from the Groot.
Help get that vehicle.
Yeah, really good job making sure that they can't contest that point at the end. Still, though, great from Barsong. And, I mean, we talked about it earlier, right? Just how much value you can get off of just constantly resetting on those Loki clones, too. We saw him taking advantage of it in that moment. And now a duel for the high ground begins.
Okay. Happens to the best of us, trying to hit those stationary Loki clones. We move away from Andrew. Cam, you know, save him a little bit of reputation. 32 charge on the Meteor Ram. Once Hania just takes it down. Both the Vanguards actually victims of that Meteor Ram. And now Schmungus once again have the stability that's so brutal to try and deal with.
Yeah, and I mean, 2.5 minutes. They don't have much room that they need to push it. But I mean, this is where a Hela can really be deadly, sniping out from this range.
Hania has their own Meteor Ram to try and play with now, but question is, can Jimbo try and deal with this earlier with a proactive use of a Strangling Prison? Maybe it answer a Strangling Prison with the Meteor Ram to try and eat up all of that damage that could be used to try and follow up on it. Ulesh actually currently attriting that high ground, but might have to invest a little bit too much to try and make it happen. Wow, this is super aggressive. Tahani is back here of all people, and inside the invisible boundary now. Would desperately love to get the invisible woman. Instead, we'll settle for Necros. A direct hit coming through as Ulesh using this Dance of the Butterflies, is unable to find too much off the back of it. Desley dives back inside of the invisible boundary, and Ulesh is forced to disengage. Nice use of a force physics. KG with the APM to try and make this happen. So close to a cap right now are the Uncles and Barsong. They might be able to try and make something happen. Only legs falling low, and that's going to be a follow-up onto what could have been a Strangling Prison. Not sure if it actually hit Pager there. Maybe instead it actually grabbed something like, I don't know, a Magneto shield. Maybe it hit a Groot wall instead. Barsong looking to try and grab themselves a reset here, and it has afflicted a Groot, yes, but the damage is too much to deal with. Necros just wins when it comes to raw aim with Rotter Stern, and the numbers that remain. A minute remain now for Uncles. Maybe use so many of their tools.
I know, and look, you have Kraken Impact online, Meteor M, Goddess of Death is going to be up soon. You're going to have another Strangling. Hell, the whole team of Schmungus is about to have their ults up leg day. It's a bit of a rough one for the Uncles with only 40 seconds left.
Yeah, question is, do you want to take two good fights here? Or do you want to try and take one with a bunch of ultimates where you have some time to really build them up? Hania, for now, may be able to get themselves a nice angle onto the Loki up top. Tato slowly building on up towards that Eye of Agamotto, unlikely to get it by the end of this round. It's the Goddess of Death up in the sky. Damn, Ulesh has got some nasty aim right there. Andrew can't even get inside the invisible boundary. It was a touch too far away. It's a full amount of ults coming through from Schmungus as Necros goes into the sky, finds Eclipse, and now both of the Vanguards are afflicted with the culling. The damage too much to bear. 2 seconds remain. Schmungus finally find their place to make their last stand. It's a Helm's DPS hold, and yes, the damage is going to be shared between these Vanguards, so there's no final blows for Ulesh until they go back to the Sonic Crossbow. Barsong can maybe try and make something happen around the back here, moving over onto Desley. That's a perfect pickup. I thought that this one might have been over, and Andrew seems to agree right here, looking after Tato. They want Necro so badly, and Legs is the one to grab it. KG's down as well. It's a big turnaround from Uncle Schmungus. Let it slip through their fingers.
What a way to go. It looked like Schmungus had it. It was even so weird of all the last-minute hero changes of kind of both teams changing sides. But in the end, Uncles did look, again, a bit more together, a bit more like they were on the same page. I thought Schmungus was showing some fun stuff. I was so scared that the Kraken Impact was going to start turning everything around. But the Uncles managed to pull it over the line.
Damn, great plays from Ulesh and Barsong. Being able to find those final hits was absolutely critical. I believe that both Barsong and Ulesh found picks when it seemed like Schmungus had that one very much in the bag. Like, we saw Andrew getting burst down super quickly as well on the Hela, unable to get inside the invisible boundary. I don't know if that's a misplace of the invisible boundary. I don't know if that was not using the the Crow to move quickly and just not respecting the damage that was going to be levied against them. Either way, Schmungus kinda, I'm not going to say threw that fight away, but they did get clutched on. They lost the clutch gene compared to Uncle.
Yeah, they definitely did. And again, it's kind of crazy that they both thought what the other was doing was working towards the end. Basong going towards the Hela, Andrew swapping over to the Psylocke after that kind of incident that happened with the Goddess of Death. But still, I'd say very close. You know, not like, you know, we saw All Business wrapping up Team Peps looked a little bit less competitive this one around. It really felt, especially that hold after that first point, could have gone either way on both sides.
Yeah, it could have been anybody's game, and I'm sure that this is going to be a long one between the Uncles and Schmungus. You are in for an absolute treat here at the EMEA MRC. But before we get there, check out these highlights. I may have made a Schmungus mistake. And Schmungus may have made a couple as well at the end of Halls of Jalia, losing a fight that, economically, they kind of should have won. They went into that with 5 ultimates, 6 by the end of it, and unfortunately, none of them really gained a huge amount of value, Lyric, but this is far from over here in the lower bracket. In round 9, I believe we're in now, the Uncles are on match point.
Yeah, the Uncles. I mean, good stuff. It was a really close game. Both teams were forcing a lot of change-ups on each side. I think people like Ulesh were a standout, again, putting a lot of pressure onto Schmungus, even if it wouldn't always end up in kills. But here we go into round 2, Royal Palace. Another fun domination map. Andrew should really just stop ever hovering the Venom. We know you aren't going to get it, buddy. But hey, that Star-Lord earlier, I ain't forgetting.
Yeah, a lot of teams against Schmungus used to first ban Necros' Spider-Man, but they learned that it's actually better to ban the Venom because, hey, you can deal with the Spider-Man when it doesn't have that cellular explosion team up. A little bit harder when the Venom is in play, and Venom's also fairly strong in his own right, even without the aid of a Spider-Man. We've seen it a couple of times, indeed, from Enzo and in some of our games previous. Including from DRP over on Supremacy. We saw a little bit of Venom. It's actually going to be a protect on the Wolverine here, which makes sense, just trying to mitigate the effect of Tarto and maybe trying to mess with Ulesh and Barsong's current very, very safe picks of both Bucky and Psylocke to see if they want to mirror on that Wolverine.
Yeah. I also just like the idea of making it more brawly, more chaotic when you are the team full of streamers, when a lot of the heroes you already play kind of invite that chaos anyway. And maybe that'd be a better route running into the Uncles, as we see Necros gonna be the one to maneuver the Wolverine. And I got what I asked for. No, I didn't, Andrew. No, I almost got what I asked for.
You can dream. You can dream, but that's about it. Boga requesting, hey, can I have the thing, bro? No. Yeah, they're just going to figure it out. We're going to be on Royal Palace Domination. This is actually a map where we see a little bit of Jeff play from OG in particular. They enjoy the Asgard Domination map. It's got some nice flank routes for things like a Jeff, but also that means for a Psylocke as well. So Ulesh not tempted into going for the mirror here. Instead, it's actually just going to continue playing on the Psylocke until they're forced off of it.
Yeah, and we can see, right, we have the thing, so we got the Nancy Street charge there to try to help deal with that Wolverine, try and block him out from doing any of his combos and burst him down quite fast. So a lot going to be on Tato in this game to make sure that Jimbo Limbo can't find the impact he's looking for. As they swapped around again. They swapped around again.
They're figuring it out.
Now why Andrew on the Magneto.
I like Uncle's pre-countering of the Wolverine here as well. Coming out with the Thing and Magneto. The least Loganable Vanguard line that you can possibly have, because of course the Thing immune to being grabbed by the Feral Leap, and a little bit of self-peel can come through from the Magneto. It comes to be anti-street charge. Already up in the air, of course, that Cosmic Fastball has allowed Jimbo to land down in the midst of the Uncles, and that's going to be a lot of damage already levied over onto Jimbo. The passive is burned through in seconds. Ulesh just playing a little bit more of a counter dive on the Psylocke right here, and then sees Boga in their sight. It's so easy to just carve through these Vanguards with their Sonic crossbows.
Yeah, and I love it. I love the adaptation and how they're playing now, trying to run them down, giving enough space for Taco to jump back as Dahania finishes off the Miss Invisible on the opposite side. You're losing healers as we speak, falling one after another.
God, everyone in a line as well means the Tainted Voltage from the Bucky got so much value, so many players. Well, was that a Moon Knight? Never mind. Over onto the Namor now. But no frozen squid, so not quite as powerful.
No, hopefully Jimbo can find a little bit more. That makes such a hard time approaching. Really nice aggressive play, but Ulesh might be caught out. He's super low. Manages to escape with just a sliver of HP.
All right, Barnacle gets a little bit done. However, what just happened to the ultimate from Necros? May well have already been reset, not entirely sure. Coming through, clobbering time, gets multiple stuns. Both the Vanguards of Schmungus. Barsong's already grabbed Necros off the back of this. Somehow found outside of the invisible boundary. And now it's time to start farming off of these low-key doppelgangers. Moving in towards the back, the Invisible Woman next up. Oh, the long-range hit onto KG is brutal. And Barsong is finding everything they want, and they can manage to get even an extra reset off of a doppelganger.
And we could see why this team has been happy to protect and play that Winter Soldier. It sucked for Necros. It looked like he was about to start popping off, but I guess just right on the edge of his team's own invisible boundary, Barsong was able to get the party started with that first reset.
Big Tainted Voltage coming through already. Ulesh has the dance, but Butterfly's ready to go. Is it going to be a waltz? Oh yeah, heading straight in onto KG. Just really good at min-maxing this AoE, focusing all of the damage over onto one strategist. A little bit of a loss of location for a while, but finally finds Andrew and stabs in with Sonic Katana exactly where it needs to be.
Just domination coming out from the Uncles. 100% to 0. That first point gonna be another nice burst of confidence. Again, after what felt like a round, you know, the previous map that could have gone to Schmungus. It's nice to see the Uncles keeping up their momentum.
Yeah, they are unperturbed thus far. Even with the maneuver towards the Wolverine, the Uncles not feeling too much pressure to swap away from where they've been really getting their bread buttered on the Psylocke and Winter Soldier combination. The only real change they made was Tato preemptively swapping over onto the Thing, which in my opinion was a smart swap. Schmungus are actually going to change things up now. They're going to move over onto a Mantis with Andrew picking up this Star-Lord again. This was critical for Schmungus previously.
Exactly. You know, it's great to see. I mean, you pointed out earlier that Andrew is an aimer. Right after you said that, found a headshot, found a kill. So I'm excited to see it. Oh, actually, this is something else that we saw them play earlier in the day. Punisher, Winter Soldier with the rocket coming through. They could do a lot to mow down the opposing side, and there's no way Ulesh is playing Spider-Man against Necros. Is there, like, day?
I mean... If there's an audition to be a top Spider-Man, it's playing Spider-Man against Necros. This is very much, allow me, Sensei, to show you my full power just this one time. Big pull in there onto the Punisher. Scourge grenade to quickly move away. Boga out of position. Ulesh grabs Jimbo Limbo. And now looking to drop in to the midst of Schmungus. Already hit with a Spider Tracer. Nice play from Andrew using the Scourge grenade to get out of that amazing combo. It's a little bit far to be using the shotgun, admittedly. To source back over onto the assault rifle. And Andrew, well, they have already built up towards that final judgment. Uncles are going to walk away with the first cap.
Yeah, already getting on it, but still, kills are being returned, so we might be able to see Schmungus push this. Andrew having that ult online. Again, can't find the shotgun onto Ulesh, but does.
Nasty pivot. Second shot gets Ulesh exactly where they want him. And it seems like the clobbering time didn't get anything, honestly. The follow-up simply wasn't there for Tato. Necros getting the headshots that they need. Where's Tato going? Straight to a Shadow Realm, I dare say. For C is just too much damage to bear. 40% extra on top of Final Judgment. Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, Andrew busting that one out. You just get to mow down the opposing front line. So to end up getting the point back, the Uncles didn't actually get that much coverage on it, only making it up to 23%. And now it's Schmungus' turn again. It kind of felt like they fumbled the last one. Can they get it going? Necros putting a lot of damage out onto Tato.
Ulesh has to be so careful on these engages. Could be slowed down by any manner of things. The Harnia eats a bunch of damage with that metallic curtain. Of course, it does have almost unlimited damage to eat, but it is on a timer. There's an attempt at a back cap coming through from Ulesh. Forces a reposition from Schmungus. That's going to be the amazing Spider-Man getting multiple stuns out. Necros going to try and turn this one around off the back of a Kraken impact. Does grab one off the back of a Loki clone. Straight in towards the back. Ulesh on top of Andrew, moving in real quick. And it's an amazing combo to shut down Andrew in the midst of all this. Hello. Found the res beacon, but didn't quite know that they found it, so I'm just going to chase them away from this position. Uncles are still fighting over on point as we speak about this, with the invisible boundary having been raised previously by Achilles, and Disley taken down in the midst of all of this, pulled away from Barsong, waiting for the friend to manage to grab that one, and attempted to grab. Yeah, there it is. Shutting down Barsong. Great patience there from Necros.
Yeah, that bionic arm was huge, being able to find that. Also, even getting the 1v1 duels coming out between the supports did bring things back in the Uncle's favor to get the point, but still, Schmungus made a good bit of headway. They have things like the Final Judgment online, as well as the See You There from Jimbo Limbo. You can have a really big Rocket Raccoon combo right now.
God of Mischief. Likely onto the invisible woman here for only legs. Oh, that's going to be a Meteor M. However, survived. Nice dodge from Necros. Used for CC immunity for Kraken impact to stop themselves from getting hit by that Eye of Agamotto. Grabs Ulesh on the wall. Oh my goodness. Necros is kind of cooking right now. Hello, hello, hello. Barossa gets Barsong. Oh, the headshot exactly where it was needed. Who said he's a one-trick? Bro is here and he's farming now.
Yeah, huge plays, and like you said, not only the kills, but also how he was using his abilities, starting the Kraken impact to dodge out on the Eye of Agamotto. Such good play, even able to keep it up with these Loki clones for now. Might have another opportunity.
It's just going to use it to get a little bit of extra verticality. Ulesh noted in the back, putting a bit of paranoia into Andrew for now. Can set up on a turret if they do desire. The Eye of Agamotto is a little bit further away now, as of course Tazo used it in the previous fight, but it was dodged by double CC immune duelists. Barsong desperately wants this last 19%. It could be a big game changer here. Soul Resurgence available for KG. Ulesh uses their first ultimate here. The Dance of the Butterflies. A big grab coming through. Andrew coming out with the shotgun. Manages to shut this one down. Can't quite shut down the res. I'm not sure. Barsong manages to make that one happen. Bogus fallen away. Schmungus managed to have to give this one over in short order and then recontest with a portal.
Yeah, and I mean, all of that off of Ulesh's Dance of the Butterfly, right? Buying so much space, pushing them off point, and then the follow-up from Barsong. We're going to see, doesn't look like a portal able to come through. They're just going to try their best to get back on point. They will have the time. They have some ultimates to work with. Most notably, Necros is up again. It's his time to shine, Leg Day.
Doing it classic style. Look at that unlimited ammo there as well. The Vanguards are in serious danger. It's given Necros everything he needs to get access to that. Ulesh noted in the corner. Oh, slept in place. It's going to be a one-tap off for shotgun. Andrew just slowly walks on up and destroys all of their opponents. The C is available in the midst of all this. The Meteor M as well didn't grab too much, but here we go. It's Kraken impact time. Reset after reset. Tahania next up on the docket. Guess what? The backline manages to avoid the incoming damage for a second, and now moving in invisibly. Barsong, nice turnaround. Where did Ulesh go? Necros, that's my hero. You get off of it. You leave Peter Parker alone, or you're going the same way as Uncle Ben. Necros just keeps everyone at bay. The threat of the Barnet Cook too much to bear, and Schmungus equalize.
Not the Uncle Ben. Not the Uncle Ben.
Not Uncle Ben.
But it's just like you said, Necros really having a good time there at the end. It looked like the Uncles were almost able to do it with Ulesh buying time on the Psylocke, but not able to pull through in the end. And again, ults do carry over. We can see Andrew with that final judgment, also an Eye of Agamotto on the opposite side for Tato. So really not leaning heavily in one way or the other. You are also close with the Kraken impact for Basong, so maybe a little bit more fighting power will be there a little bit faster for the Uncles.
You know the brothers Grimm. If the Uncles lose this because we're in the lower bracket, would that make them the Uncles Ben?
Oh no. You know what, Uncle Ben? You were a real one. You gave us a lot of great stories out of what happened.
You were a real one, Uncle Ben.
Mission area. Got it?
Okay, Portal gonna start us off for the Uncles. So you know they don't want to fall out of this tournament. They are gonna use Portal to try to get to the point faster and really deny Schmungus any approach.
Boga doing exactly the same. Wrap around here, playing for the high ground. The Honey's already fallen on down, but of course, has that metallic slow descent. My goodness, that metallic bulwark, where did it go? He popped it for only a second. Unlimited ammo now is going to make it very difficult to survive if you are one of these vanguards. For now, though, Tato looking to try and get their drop down with the Eye of Agamotto. You don't want to put it on top of the final judgment, but dropping down on Necros is pretty good itself. And this is going to be an absolute shellacking of Schmungus. Wait, they're going to invest a Soul Resurgence. But why? You've already lost 2. In the midst of all this, I'm not sure if it's the right decision from KG, but Necros and Boga, they've got other ideas here. Having a look towards that Doctor Strange. Eye of Agamotto versus Eye of Agamotto. Was that actually a copied Eye of Agamotto in the midst of all this? But Loki copying Doctor Strange is kind of wild, if you ask me. And that means that there was no healing available for a long time. Boga's just going to drop their way down towards the low ground. Tato might well be overwhelmed, waiting for a healer to turn on up. But the strategists aren't there in time, and Desley gets it finished. Schmungus turn it around.
Yeah, Schmungus somehow coming out on top. Like you said, very weird situations with the Doctor Strange and Loki combination going for it. But now the Uncle's going to be in the unfavorable position of trying to force their way in through these chokes. Danya just getting that Meteor M online, so you are having a bit more tools there. And Ulesh, Dance with the Butterfly, hasn't found anything just yet. Ends up getting one. Jimbo Limbo down, healing, cut in half.
And the only player that can't be raised by their own BRB. Critical pick there coming through from Ulesh. Desley next to fall. The healing super limited now for Schmungus. It's only KG with those little spores. And, well, Ulesh is absolutely feasting. Uncle's quickly flip back.
Yep, Uncle Ben standing strong today. Jimbo, though, I mean, unfortunately, the first one cut out. Like you said, one person who can't be rezzed by his BRB. Cutting your healing down. I guess not in half. They are running triple strategists, but still. Ooh, good hook. Forces out the Loki rune.
Yeah, Oleg's going to have to disengage using that devious swap here. Boga's got access to an Eye of Agamotto. And look at this. I think this might be a little bit early for a C. I think a good force fix to actually pull these Vanguards in a touch longer. Necros, if they can get some real value off this angle with the C, it could be huge. A well-placed hook could also be everything, but not much gained off the back of the investment so far.
Yeah, we're just gonna see them peppering down with Poe. But oh, Meteor comes out. The fight's getting going.
Nice dodge there from Necros down on top of the Eye of Agamotto. A huge investment there of the Kraken impact as well, but it's resets coming through off the Loki doppelgangers. Eye of Agamotto blocked out for the side of Necros here by Boga. Chooses to go for that hyper carry DPS instead of the remainder. Oh! Necros pushed off the map by only legs. Oh, that one's getting clipped and shipped, you better believe it. You can see that one on Twitter later. But Jimbo's getting up close and personal with Rocket's gun and making it happen.
Yeah, great play from Schmungus. Once again, control the point, trying to equalize that 62% that the Uncles found. We're going to see that come through is Dahanya trying to find an angle in. I think you're really hoping that Ulesh can try and find a flank with that Dance of the Butterfly, and you can see on the map, he's looking for it.
Ulesh has done a great job so far of maximizing having only one person in the Dance of the Butterflies to maximize the DPS of it. Necros just disengages into the Dance of the Butterflies so we can spread out that damage. It's for everybody. Doing your own soul bond as well. Ulesh forced to dance elsewhere. The Doctor Strange in some difficult positions right now. Dire straits potentially. Jimbo sets up the BRB for when it's going to be needed the most, but I think it's already been taken down here by Ulesh. Actually gets reset by Jimbo. Good heads up play when they hear the approach of that Psylocke. Barsong noted up up top. They actually have the four taken out from under them. Big heads-up play from Necros, and now can easily just blink away with Rota Stern and unlimited ammo behind them. The Eye of Agamotto doesn't grab too much. The invisible boundary keeps all safe from the depredations of a Doctor Strange. You can't keep Ulesh safe, though. Doesn't seem like too much was gained off the back of that one. And now it's going to be a killer. Just doing their best to heal up the Doctor Strange, keeping everyone healthy. Yet another raising of the invisible boundary. Could it be dunked upon here by Dahania, looking so desperately for Desmond and finds it when it's most needed. Schmungus are in control at 99% though. Uncles have to stay on top of this. Necros almost blasted off the map yet again, but instead it's going to be a manually slain from the hands of Dahania. Why Andrew overwhelmed for sure as Ulesh comes on through, and Uncles now need to hold.
Yeah, it feels like all of that was off the back of Dahania and the picks that he found great with the Meteor M when not exactly going is... Oh, we see the Uncles just flooding onto Andrew.
I think the rescue's going to be there. Boga managed to make it in time. Ulesh, no, it's Barsom who's now playing on this Spider-Man. Maybe got a little bit nervous about returning in time in that 99% overtime. Manages to grab Necro, stuns him up. Here comes yet another dance of the butterfly. So much damage onto Boga. He was the only one inside the radius. No one else dived in to try and save their goats. Uncles. Necros is going to try and touch now. Off the back of a Spider-Man play, back on his signature hero, Desley, in major danger over here. There's going to be attempts at a portal coming through from Boga. Necros actually got a Barsong in the midst of all this, and while the invisible boundary has been erected here by Uncles, Necros is going to be able to hold off, maybe pull someone out of it, and it's actually been a flip in favor of Schmungus. This is kind of a wild turnaround for the Uncles. Now they're going to have to be the ones staying on point all the time. Super low as a killer. Nice accuracy coming through on the web traces from Necros. Forces out the regeneration domain as well. So now only Lex is under major damage. And now has to be a copy coming through. God of Mischief. Don't know who they managed to grab in the midst of all of this. Ulesh has already been taken down by Y Andrew. 2 frags coming through. Mid-air play from Necros. He's got the amazing, spectacular spin if he needs it. Barsong never knew that it was coming. What a turnaround from Schmungus. It looked so dire, but now it looks so clutch.
It looks so over there. Uncles just getting a bit too ahead of themselves, swing a bit too far forward to try to make it so Schmungus can't get there. But my God, is it fitting that Necro swaps to the Spider-Man to save the day, wins the Spider-Man 1v1, and Schmungus will continue to move on.
What can I say except plot armor?
Yeah.
Real plot armor there as Necros, the protagonist, rolls up. At 16 final blows as well from Necros. So much put in to the hypercarry DPS on both the Winter Soldier and then following up on, of course, the Spider-Man as well. 32k damage. A little bit ludicrous if you ask me, but also credit to Achilles doing so much on the Sue Storm, just getting 44k healing, I believe, which is nothing to sniff at.
No, not at all. And you know what? No one needs to sniff at it because you could use your eyes and we could see what happened as we got the replay of that game coming up right now.
You know, you've been a very good audience, and as a reward, no break. We're going to go straight into map number 3 here between Schmungus and the Uncles. It was hard fought for both teams. It could have gone either way on either of these maps, but we've ended up going to Midtown. It's going to be a convoy map, but we finish our series one way or the other.
And I'm excited to see if we keep any of the shenanigans of last time, because you could tell that the Uncles kind of threw down the gauntlet. The song threw down the gauntlet. We had him going onto things like the Spider-Man to look for that contest, losing out in that 1v1. Ulesh as well, earlier in the match did. So it's like, hey, you know, are we going to keep going for these shenanigans? Are we going to keep looking for the clout leg day? Or, you know, we going to go back to maybe a bit more of our favorites?
Yeah, it's kind of like when we saw Tuesday swap off of, we saw Tuesday swap off of Starlight. Enough. Stop that.
Exactly.
Back to work. Enough fun for you. Adam Warlock.
Unless Jeff.
Yeah, you know what? I'd accept a Jeff. I don't know if I'd accept a Jeff on Midtown. I would have accepted a Jeff on the previous match. I mean, if it's good enough for Tanuki, it's good enough for me.
Exactly. Is bands, like you said, kind of staying expected, staying what we've seen so far. Schmungus gonna go back to saving that Rocket Raccoon.
Ooh, yep, saving the Rocket Raccoon, just making sure that there's always that unlimited ammo comp to try and get a little bit of a real dangerous burst phase that those Vanguards have to deal with.
Yeah, I think especially in overtimes, that's where that can be incredibly deadly now for what the Uncles want to protect, not wanting to show anything, not wanting to give Schmungus maybe an idea of what they're going to go for exactly.
All right, yeah. No telling thus far from the Uncles. Previously, I believe they protected a Wolverine as we headed into our game. Actually, no, it might have been Schmungus who protected Wolverine. I forget. One team protected Wolverine. Namor is going to be banned here as well, which could be a way to maybe try and open the path more for Ulesh to not face too much in the way of danger, because they realize that Luna's now available. But no, Schmungus are going to be the ones getting rid of Luna. Neither team wants to deal with the fate of both worlds.
Could make all the difference.
No, both teams saying, hey, we don't need any safety tools. We don't need any training wheels. We want to go all in for the scrap. Now it's going to be about seeing what they come up with for it. Ooh. I was going to say, I don't want to get excited about Human Torch isn't going to come through, but we have been seeing it more here in EMEA, especially today. Yeah. Having both Kaiser and I remember we saw it once earlier as well.
Yeah, 33 Heavens on Zenith.
Yes. But sadly,
so
not going to get here today.
It's a real thing in EMEA.
I guess it's all right, though, because before I was kind of, you know, being like, hey, no shenanigans. And now here I am being like, oh, why aren't you giving us shenanigans?
But it wasn't,
you know, it did work in the tournament so far. Not finding a whole ton of value today, but here we're going to go to much more standard compositions. KG staying on that Mantis. We'll see if they can find any impactful sleeps, but I really want to keep my eye on Basong's Hella. Definitely feels like we've been seeing a lot of...
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You need to stop that vehicle in its tracks.
This first stretch, getting control of the high ground is going to be the first task, and a lot of that is going to come down to Ulesh really managing to open this up by having a good off angle that demands attention, allows someone to slip through the cracks when it comes to the strategist kind of attention that needs to be divvied up.
I need assistance.
Yeah, so far doing a decent job as Schmungus to not let anything go through, but as the Uncles, you're taking this, you're walking Schmungus down, you're building those ultis. But Dahania actually ends up getting taken out by Necros.
Yeah, I believe dragged in by a Barnet Hook, and then of course Troopers fisted out as well. Broga just raises the shield to stop any incoming healing from reaching that wayward Vanguard, and now it's just the ebb and flow. Schmungus moving in and out, making sure not to take too much poke.
Yeah, Schmungus are getting really close to having that Sia up for Jimbo. 75% now. Maybe they can try and hope for something, especially if Necros can keep channeling that Kraken impact. Right now, 63%.
Jimbo keeping busy over here on the Rocket Raccoon. Big pull there onto Ulesh. Does force out one of those dashes in order to just get themselves back to safety. And then Sedano going to be deployed. Necros is in his most dangerous state right now, but these triple strategists are taking a lot of poke in their own right. Barsong is finally exactly where they want to be, just laying down huge amounts of damage at range with no real threat being assessed over to them. Only Legs opens up with an invisible boundary, and that's going to potentially force a disengagement here from Schmungus. Jimbo's still going to try and invest. Oh, Tartar went so far beyond the border of the invisible boundary. It was so greedy into the Sia, and that might well have been an absolutely disastrous play there from the Vanguard.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, stepping too far forward, also going around a corner, So even being out of the invisible boundaries, Necros isn't stopping. I mean, like you said, no one can call him a one-trick here today. Really stepping up on the Winter Soldier.
Tato and Boga about equal when it comes to their placement of this Eye of Agamotto. Already grabbed, though. Tato has used their Cloak of Levitation as well, so if they use their ult, it's not going to be too much of a surprise. Ulesh heading in towards the back now with themselves. Oh, there we go. Going to be the Soul Resurgence to try and answer the incoming damage of that stance of the butterflies. Damage boost likely going to be going the way of Necros. That's going to be a reset potentially. Ulesh takes over to the sky. Tato grabs Necros with the Eye of Agamotto. The follow-up is going to be there. Ulesh manages to grab that one, but not before Barsong is traded out on the other side. And Boga's still got his feet on the cart right now, stopping it from going too far forward. Necros gets rezzed. Dahania gets CC'd by the Eye of Agamotto, but that's a Vanguard, and the follow-up's not really going to be there at this point. Jimbo just doing their best to keep everybody healed up while you worry about Ulesh on the off angle. Necros going to try and make that one happen. Quick disengage happening. Tato and Ulesh both falling low, and Barsong's come back on the Wolverine of all things. Already had their passive pop. C is ready to go, and it's going to be answered here. Coming through already. Lots of damage. 40% amplification in this case, as Ulesh looking over towards that. Oh, here we go. A grab potentially onto Bogris inside the invisible boundary. Going to be difficult to try and get value out of this one with so many players so close together. Dahania really wants Desley and finds with the perfect Meteor M. But Necros feeling desperate inside of this. It's a huge investment from the side of Uncles, both the Dancer, the Butterflies, and the invisible boundary.
And that posturing went on for so long. At first, thought it looked, pretty bad for Uncles. We saw the first dance of the butterfly come out. It was neutralized by KG on the opposite side. Not a whole lot of value able to be found initially by the Wolverine, but they outlasted. They got those tools back online, and they were able to find the angle. Ulesh putting so much pressure on Jimbo in the back line.
An exchange of poke between the front lines here. Vanguards versus Vanguards. So worried about Barsong being able to hold up in that higher area and grab Boga in. If any moment of overextension occurs, Tato's taking so much damage here. Just absolutely having their shield eviscerated at range. Look at how accurate KG is. Just giving themselves some self-inspiration. It's some natural anger. It's healthy, Ulesh in the back is actually getting a little bit of aggro coming through from the strategist, but still, Schmungus are giving away space.
Yeah, I mean, they're giving up so much. Uncle's not even having as many ults online, but Schmungus clearly not feeling confident, are going to pop KG's ult now.
Barsong has themselves a last stand already. Tato dragged on in the Eye of Agamotto. It's easily countered out by a pair of shields that surround it. Not a full amount of charge onto this, but Ulesh is the chosen target for Andrew. Didn't expect to see that Meteor M come their way. Last stand grabs so many here. Nice stun to try and shut it down. However, it's going to be the passive coming through from Barsong, keeping them alive for now. And the C is not really getting that much in the way of value. The remainder of the team are basically stunned up or elsewhere. Finally, it's going to be good. Ulesh just coming back on the Spider-Man of all things. Okay. I mean, there's still a minute left. I think you may be jumping the gun a touch here.
Yeah, not exactly needing that one to get back. Is immediately going to go right back to the Psylocke, so maybe just, not paying attention to the situation, thinking he could find some kind of off-pick with the Spider-Man, but still not able to make any more ground for the Uncles. Schmungus doing a really nice job of cutting them off. Tato is getting close to having that Eye of Agamotto once again. They are going to just hit those big ult breakpoints before Schmungus, so that's really where the battle's going to have to come through with only 35 seconds left.
Yeah, timing could be brutal. Barsong gets himself a leap. Doesn't go too far with it. Big hook coming through from Necros. Grabs Barsong on the disengage here as well. Another cracking impact's ready to go. Ulesh keeping Jimbo at harm's way. Really in danger right now with Jimbo, but they're just doing their best to evade Ulesh in the back. Dahania trying to play around the corner. Uncles have finally hit their critical mass when it comes to ultimates. 5 of them available at once, but Schmungus is going to be exactly the same. It's going to be the Soul Resurgence answering all that's coming through right now. Andrew looking desperately for one of these strategists, but actually only meets a shield. Oh, 4 players hit with the Eye of Agamotto. A goated performance from Boga. And guess what? Tato tries to do the same, but it's taken out in mid-air by Necros. and KG in tandem. The overtime's nowhere near here for Unclés, and despite only having to fight basically once on second, they are held at length.
Switch things up.
Yeah, I mean, that was such a great Eye of Agamotto. You see the invisible boundary try to come out, but hey, your whole team's not in there. Some people get caught off guard and out of position, and it was just a great hold for them. And again, it's just been fun to see, right? Having things like the Mantis just dishing out that damage consistently. Necros really showing up on the Winter Soldier. And, you know, Jimbo might not be flashy, but he doesn't have to be. He's standing in the back. He's shooting out those healing orbs, and he's keeping Schmungus just nice and safe.
Has to be done. Schmungus. So many times it felt like it could have really fallen apart, especially when Barson got some good leaps. Some good feral leaps to try and kidnap away Boga. We saw some great intercepts from Desley. We saw some great bubbles from Andrew, using that metallic bulwark to try and keep their more vulnerable Vanguard partner safe. And sometimes it's Necros who just make sure that Barson can't stay in after using that feral leap, just putting down the damage onto Rotterdam, using the weapon to try and make sure that there was no safe option for Wolverine.
Oh, and now it feels like Schmungus are really going to be able to show up here on the attacking side. Definitely have seemed like the more aggressive of the two teams, which is kind of what I would have expected coming in, knowing what I know about the teams, knowing their hero pools. Now we're going to get to see if they can find an angle. Already trying to fight for that high ground. Dahania not taking too much ship damage just yet. It seems like for Schmungus still trying to play out through multiple different angles.
Unclés actually going to be playing on the Hela here instead. Only legs. Forced off of a high ground, like they're just going to swap places with one of their doppelgangers in order to get back up in short order. And well, you know what? It's a chill time for Jimbo Limbo right now. Dahania sedated over here. Not going to be in a position to really be followed up upon, as the Killips is going to just join their vanguard down here on the low ground. And actually is messed up on their spacebar disengaged, so could be a little bit vulnerable.
Yeah, I mean, we could see with that vulnerability, giving up a lot of room on Uncle's side. Not only Legs is getting close to that ulti, but still, we know no one can really stack it faster than this Raccoon. But Necros almost found a hook. Good wall comes out. Kraken Impact online.
It's already ready to go. One of the first that's going to be available. The Killup's going to be able to match this one now. Tato doing their best to try and disengage while keeping everyone at risk. Dragged in. What a quick turn with the Trooper's fist. Oh, why Andrew forced to go up into the air here. Really wants that invisible woman and manages to find them. The healing not enough to try and deal with the burst damage that came on through. Dahania going to be the victim of the reset here. So Necros can just go again and again and again. And it's a tale that you've heard so many times before.
Yeah, and I love why Andrew just escorting him up there, make sure he's safe, get that damage down to make sure the execution damage could be followed up on. Still having KG and Boger's ults available too. So you can expect a bit of a counterpunch coming from the Uncles, but the tools might be there for Schmungus to respond accordingly. BRB still up and available too.
Worst Venn diagram I've ever seen over there. BRB. Just making sure that anyone who goes a little bit too aggressive has a second lease on life. Already a big pull coming through. Tato going to be the only one CC there by the Eye of Agamotto. Still, it demands an answer. And the Killips and Barson are going to be the ones to try and make it happen with both the Invisible Boundary and the Kraken Impact. But the Kraken Impact's got limited usefulness where there is that lower ceiling because you can't really hold on to it for as long.
Yeah, honestly, just a very awkward place for a fight for the Uncles in general. Same with Unclés on the Hela, right? Not having a good place to use Goddess of Death there. So they are just going to end up having to give Schmungus more space.
Dahania just doing their best to keep this point in contention for now. Desley caught out by Dahania in the midst of all of this. Necros is feeling good about it still. Knows that the resurrection's coming through onto Desley courtesy of the BRB. Dahania at range does a massive amount of damage to the side of Jimbo, but unable to really grab too much off the back of it. And with Boga down, Schmungus, they don't have the staying power.
Still not losing too much for how many ults were invested by the Uncles. Still 3.5 minutes on the board and not a whole lot of area where you have to move this convoy. We still have Meteor M up for Andrew. Desley just getting that invisible boundary online too. His hook comes through. Not gonna be able to make
Floats
anything of
away
it.
to the best of their ability. Desley raises the invisible barrier, and that means Dahania is difficult to see for that backline. Up to the sky goes the Hella, potentially. Oh my goodness, the damage on the Talo is just so much. The unlimited ammo, the Meteor M, and everything else that comes on through. Ulesh is going to fall down as well. Only legs staggered. Schmungus could be on the edge of getting through to another round.
Yeah, and the fact that they still have ults up is crazy. Again, the Uncles invested so much in the fight before what we just saw. It really gave Schmungus just such a good foothold. And now KG in a great position to just try and layer down these headshots through the door. Picks up Dahania to start.
An opening pick onto a Vanguard, absolutely brutal. Ulesh already stunned up here. Follow-up's not there, though. Great response from Eclipse, bringing up the invisible boundary. Tato now having to move to try and get themselves on this car. Ulesh actually gone super deep right here. Uses 2 dashes to move all the way into the back, so there's no escape, and that means Jimbo can actually win out on the door right here. Desley moving forward. Barsong's down as well. And now we've got Necros just being able to get reset after reset on this one. Out comes the Eye of Agamotto. Nice dodge there from Desley. Beautiful play. It might well have been blocked as well, coming through from Boga. Barsong's going to be returning now on the Spider-Man. Once again, just taunting Necros with his best character, if you could believe it at this point. Uncle's doing their best to make something happen off the back of both the Dance of the Butterflies. Wait, 2 off the Dance of the Butterflies from Ulesh. Unbelievable value. And Schmungus are going to be held for now.
Yeah, we're going to see as Basong actually continuing the aggression on the Spider-Man. Might be going too much. Looks like he was fine and backed out in the end. But now we're about to have more ults come up for Schmungus. Meteor M there. Invisible Boundary about to be up too. Oh, KG might not need any ults to find a pick for himself, though.
Cage is so scary, and it lets them build the Soul Resurgence so fast. Only legs already coming through with a quick God of Mischief. I imagine it to get that onto Eclipse. However, this does mean that now he's going to have to use that ultimate sooner rather than later. So maybe Schmungus just try and play this one a little bit more softly. Just build up towards that additional damage. And yeah, there it is. Forces out the ultimate. And you can just disengage. You don't want Boga to get caught out here, though.
Now, I mean, you're right. Now just wait out Jimbo Limbo. Actually, you don't even need to wait. It'll be up in time. They're popping ults and the big fight about to break out.
I don't know if too much was gained there by Necros, though. Off the back of that Kraken impact, so low is Jimbo. Oh, wow, what a play. Actually breaks the ankles of Ulesh. And now these flankers are just having to try and catch the Rocket Raccoon, who's not the ideal target for them. Tato almost has themselves an Eye of Agamotto. Dahania sitting behind, ready to go so low to try and play with. 3 players stunned by the Eye of Agamotto. It's a huge play from Doctor Strange. And what they do, fall for their trouble. Barsong's here to just finish it up.
And there's only 15 seconds left in the match. Schmungus not going to have much time to try to make something happen. Necros gets back on the Spider-Man to touch point in time. We'll see what they could do.
Barsong just does their best to keep this going. Necros, can they be intercepted? They can! The force physics was there, and the Magneto's there as well. It seems so winnable for Schmungus, but what a way to just lock in coming through from the side of the Uncles, managing to get one over on the streamer team and make it happen on Midtown.
Yeah, that was crazy. Again, I feel like this whole match was just so close. It came down to the edge. Definitely map 1 and 3, map 2 maybe being a little bit more decisive for Schmungus, but not able to pull it over the boundary in the end. I guess the big question is, do you think Ulesh and Basong will get the Necros thumbs up? Do you think they'll get the Sensei seal of approval?
I hope they get the, you know, just the respectful nod, you know? Open up a call for like a second, and then we instantly get ourselves the respectful nod from Necros, like, yeah. Game recognized game, you know?
Exactly.